Okay, we will go ahead on and get started with prayer. Attention, prayer. And we pray. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praises are due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of this day of judgment in which we now live. To thee alone do we serve, and to thee alone do we beseech for help. O Allah, guide us on the right path, the path of those you have bestowed favors, not of those whom your wrath has brought down, nor those who go astray. Ameen. Sir, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, we bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praises are due forever, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is that true servant, the exalted Christ, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is that true servant, the Comforter, the Holy Ghost, Messiah in our midst. In their name, I greet my dear beloved brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Mubarak.
Wa alaikum salam, Ramadan Kareem.
Alaikum salam, Ramadan Kareem.
All right, so here we are at part 21. And I think from when we start, did everybody here start on the, what day did we start? The first or the second?
The second. Well, we actually started reading on the 3rd, I think.
Right.
We started,
right.
Yeah, but Ramadan started.
We started the fast on the 2nd, right?
Yes.
Is that, yeah, okay. It's always like that where, you got a group of people that start one day, you got another group that start another day. And I think that might just be something that Belinda was telling me about. The minister was talking about how he noticed that we be splitting hairs on stuff, and that's what we, one of the things that we've been talking about in the STW is the big picture. When you see the big picture, you don't split hairs. You look at the principle, and it just really cuts down on a lot of confusion. Just like they have this thing about I know here the Atlanta Masjid, the imams community, they have a little thing on the answering machine at the masjid. They said at the end of Ramadan, they said, well, there have been no credible sightings of the moon. I'm like, hell, I'm just saying, you still looking at the naked eye. The big picture is that, is it the new moon yet? Has the new, you know what I'm saying? And you got precise scientific instruments that let you know when the new moon comes in. Yet you rather rely on the fallible eye, of man, as opposed to the instrument that he created, that he made to give you a more exact rendering of when the new moon comes in. Anyway, we are at part 21. We look like we're trying to wind this thing down. So we're going to get started today, Sister Haviva, with Ayat 45 from part 21.
Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Mubarak family.
Alaikum salam, sister.
Surah 29, Al of the Spider, part 21, section 5. The Quran is a purifier. I seek refuge in Allah against the accursed Satan, within and without. Ayat 45. Recite that which has been revealed to thee of the book, and keep up prayer. Surely prayer keeps one away from indecency and evil. And certainly the remembrance of Allah is the greatest force. And Allah knows what you do. Allah.
Yes. The Quran, the name of that section, Quran, is a purifier. And of course, it is a purifier because it contains the words of Allah, which represent the light. And the light allows you to see things for what they are. And then it says, recite that which has been revealed to thee of the book, and keep up prayer. And that's basically what we're doing. We're reciting what is revealed to us of this book, and keep up prayer. Surely prayer keeps one away from indecency and evil. And so one thing that you will find too about prayer in the text, you find two things in prayer. You have the postulates. You have the postulates, and then you have the facsimiles. Prayer is giving you a picture to focus on. See, the pictures that you focus on, whatever it is that you focus on, your focus, since you are God, your focus is actually bringing that thing into existence. Whatever postulate you make in a prayer, that thing is really set into motion, or it is continued into motion until the fulfillment of that particular cycle. And so we find that prayer, or the pictures of prayer and the postulates of prayer, they shape your universe. Prayers shape your universe. Prayers, they shape, or they are shaping your universe as you participate in prayer. So, and certainly the remembrance of Allah is the greatest force, because when you remember Allah, when you get the picture of Allah, then this is a picture of the greatest force. You making a copy in your mind of the greatest force. You are connecting yourself mentally, connecting your attention to the greatest force. And just by picturing Allah, you are creating channels of unity between you and He. Okay. I should have said read 46.
Yes.
So let's go 46 through 49. But
Yes.
before we do that, let's go to our dear sister Tina.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The remembrance of Allah is the greatest force. I'm glad this came up because I have to make a note of this. In the technology, it was dealing with the survival dynamic and the suppressor. The survival dynamic and the survival suppressor. And in the graph, it had the arrow going down for the suppressor and the arrow going up for the survival dynamic. Mm-hmm. And in the chapter that I was on, which was a chapter further up, it talked about how when you're at 3.0, that's when the what's that level, brother Bettine? The
necessity level.
Yes, the necessity level for survival. As the suppressor comes down on you, the suppressor of the outside things the outside emotions that cause the tone level to drop, there's a big surge of energy that goes up against that suppressor when it gets down to 3.0, and it thrusts hard back against the suppressor at 3.0, and it talks about the force, that thrust is the force, so that so that the emotional tone does not go down further. There's a thrust that takes place at that point. And that reminds me greatly of the remembrance of Allah as the greatest force. And I had put that into, I had applied that at some point last week. It was last week. And I had mentioned this on Brother Lukman's class, that I was, starting to, my tone level was going down because I was, thinking about certain things, and my tone level was going down. And at that point, I remembered what I read in the technology. And I said, well, I got to stop this, because if it keeps going down, I'm not going to be able to continue doing what I'm doing, which was trying to prepare my dinner, So, so I thought about the remembrance of Allah as the greatest force. When you talk about a burst, a thrust against the suppressor, of the remembrance of Allah is the greatest force. So at that point, I said the refuge prayer. I said it a couple of times, and my tone level went up, and it stayed up, and you was on that when I mentioned it, and you said, I said, was that right? You said, well, if the tone level went up, it worked, so that's what we want. So yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's the function, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what we have to understand about auditing, is that, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to raise tone level. That's what we're trying to do here. Even today, we're trying to raise tone level, because it's just like when we come to STW or some places, classes like Brother Lukman, these are like little quizzes, in your class when you're taking class in colleges, high school or wherever. These are like quizzes, and then you do good on these quizzes, it brings your average up. And so when you bring your average up, then you have, you have more resilience when you encounter something that may take your tone level down. You have something like what we call the emotional curve. And so, yes, ma'am, you sound great, Sister Tina. Your articulation is, not that it's never been otherwise, but your articulation is very sharp. And see, this is what we, this is what we need. See, it's reflecting something that I really like. The prophet said, one learned Muslim is harder on the devil than 100, or it might have been 1,000 ignorant followers. And hell, it is got to be 1,000 ignorant followers, because hell, if you ignorant, you can still be manipulated. And we know Islam ain't no different than any other group, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us the big picture of the 10%, the 5%, and the 85%. So that's wonderful, sister. I'm very pleased to see and hear, your progress, because this is people like you and others that's on this call right now. I can see, just like I remember Sister Haviva when she first came, she was real quiet. She wouldn't hardly say nothing. And so now, you hear some of the most intelligent questions coming from Sister Haviva, and then you can see that it's just so now. That's why she's our Quran reader, because she's able to take this Quran and make it her own. You understand what I'm saying? She be reading sometime. I have to look around, make sure the prophet ain't in here spying on me. So, but that's what we are doing. See, we are climbing Jacob's ladder. See, we're soldiers of the cross. You see, and it's a joy. It's a joy to hear that and see that type of thing manifest. And this bears witness to what I was saying about going forward, that this is going to be more the big thrust in STW will be to take a more academic style approach, you see. And I was just talking to Brother Robin today, and we talked about the mathematical theology that's mentioned in the lessons. The mathematical theology, when I think it made me think about what my math teacher in high school, Mr. Weldon Lodwick, had taught me in high school. And I went to a college prep school, which was a lot of had a lot of advanced students in it. And I actually took my first college course. I was in I was 15 years old, or I was in the 11th grade. And anyway, Mr. Lodwick he gave me a lot of things that I even say today in this class here come from Mr. Lodwick. But he was saying that mathematics, the learning of mathematics is a cumulative knowledge. And I guess all real knowledge and real science is, but mathematics particularly is a cumulative science where, as of course we say, the essence of mathematics is measurement. So you begin to learn how to measure things, first with arithmetic, with addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and then you start doing fractions, and then you start doing equations, and so forth and so on. So the fractions and the equations and trigonometry and geometry, all of these higher forms of mathematics, they borrow on the lower forms of mathematics, and not so much lower, or I'll say the more complex forms of mathematics. They rely on the simpler forms of mathematics, because you can do an advanced calculus problem and you get the arithmetic wrong, then the problem is wrong, you see. And so when I see you all, studying this technology, and there's no better place to start than book one. And when you're getting that mathematical foundation, which you will continue to use throughout your study, as it is a cumulative study. So the mathematical theology is a cumulative study of theology. See, and so this is why the main reason why we're going to get into a more academic approach to this technology as it relates to Islam, and so mathematical theology, meaning that we, when we begin to, we get all of these basics, and that's one of the things that the church really is pushing. They give you this thing called the basics, and when you get the basics, then your travel, up the bridge, as they would say, or we'll say up the ladder, your travel to Allah is easier, or it goes smoother. You run into fewer snags, and usually a snag on the way is probably a missed gradient, where you skipped over a gradient, and you have to be careful, with these skip gradients. And that might be why we don't have people drop off even of this class. They get really excited. And sometimes we drop off. And I think sometimes it's because of a skip gradient. They may hear something, I may say something, and I'm speaking from my perspective, which, is somewhat, somewhat advanced. I'm still a baby, but it's still somewhat advanced based on what the overall pool of knowledge in the Nation of Islam is. I speak something that might be a little advanced, and then it becomes sort of like that word that we read that we don't understand, that if we don't stop and clear that word, then it may cause us to blow or get off the horse or stop studying or stop progressing. And so this is what we aim to do going forward. We want to keep as many people as we can, but we're going to have to get a little bit more personal too. We're somewhat impersonal now. We want to help you, brothers and sisters, brother and sisters. We want to help, and we don't want to do things, as I remember my granddaddy say, man, don't do things half, half a, you know what I'm talking about. And so we don't want to, we want to step this game up. We want to look at it like they say in Scientology in the church. You think about, they talking about, we want to do it certain with certainty. We want to do it with perfection, you see. And of course, we know all certainty and perfection is ultimately relative. So anyway, I didn't tend to preach a sermon on that, but thank you, Sister Tina, for you think about, when you know what you're talking about, what you bring to the table has so much more value. I mean, when the degree of certainty that you have about what you're talking about, it increases the degree of value of what you bring to the table. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, Sister Haviva, if you would, 46 through 49.
Yes, sir. Ayat 46. And argue not with the people of the book except by what is best, save such of them as act unjustly, but say, we believe in that which has been revealed to us and revealed to you, and our God and your God is one, and to him we submit. And thus have we revealed the book to thee. So those whom we have given the book believe in it, and of these there are those who believe in it, and none deny our messages except the disbelievers. And thou didst not recite before it any book, nor didst thou transcribe one with thy right hand, for then could the liars have doubted. Nay, it is clear messages in the hearts of those who are granted knowledge, and none deny our messages except the iniquitous. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. And one thing too, just alluding to just the reading, if you notice, Sister reads, when she reads it, like I say, she makes it her own. Now, that is part of what we do. That's part of the training routine in Scientology, is to be able to make it your own. And see, when you get into that mode of thinking, of making things your own, it's just like when you read it, you see what is real to you, and then you're just not reading books, pages off of books. You're not communicating to people via the book. You're taking the book and you're presenting the book as opposed to presenting something via the book. You're taking it yourself. You're taking it in your hands and giving it to you. It's something that you are giving. I hope that makes some kind of sense. And so this is something that is very valuable, because even as we listen, we want, and ultimately we listen and we get what we the reality that we receive from the book, and that's just that. And as Mr. Hubbard say, just get whatever you can get, and don't really worry about the rest. Don't, because the thing that you do get, the thing that you do have reality with, agreement with, work from there. Work from what you do understand. Oftentimes we may try to work from areas or aspects of something that we don't necessarily understand. Work from where you do understand, and you will be much more successful. So he says, 46, argue not with the people of the book, except by what is best. So he says, so, this is what we are taught. We say, argue in the best manner, but be aware too that arguments often, as we are taught, they drive away the spirit of Allah. Because generally when you begin to argue and you begin to contend with one another, the ego comes in. And then it's not, the argument turns from what is right to who is right, you see. And so you want to always stay in that mode of, as we talked about the phenomena of being interested instead of being interesting. If you stay interested, then your mind is always open to receive. See, but once you declare yourself to be interesting, then all of the focus, you follow what I'm saying, is on you, and it's hard for you to see where you may be in manifest error. And also, argue only by what is best. This is also part of the act of being civilized. You see, civilized, and I know Sister Carol was she liked that definition of civilized, and it's actually in the teachings that we just kind of derived through the lens of STW. We derived that definition. And if you would, Belinda, find that part in Closing the Gap, that where the minister was talking about the words. If you would, find that. And so anyway, civilized is to be agreeable to live in peace with. We know we're not going to agree 100% with everything that somebody else says, because number one, you are not them. You don't have the same perspective as them. You don't have the same experience as them. There are many variables that may contribute to you not seeing eye to eye with somebody and not being on the same page. But the arguing in the best manner, I think the best manner is for you to maintain your interest, maintain, being interested in the truth. That's the best manner. And that's the most civilized manner, because when you see 3.0, as Sister Tina was just talking about, she said this is the point where the necessity level, that is the necessity level, which actually puts you in present time. Necessity level is what really gives you a clear perception of what's going on. But check this out: when you go up to 3.3, you have a strong interest. And then when you have strong interest, that's when your your analytical mind becomes like a sponge. You got strong interest. I mean, you are pulling things in at a very intense level. And that's why I love it when we have these questions. And I said, man, it seemed like they was hanging on to every word that was being said. And man, that reflects a high tone level. Your Sister Tina, Sister Carol, everybody, Sister Jacqueline, my wife, my wife asks me certain things sometimes, and then I'm saying to myself, wow, you was really listening to it like that? And it just makes me feel good. And it is revealing, because see, this is what this is supposed to be doing. It reveals to you when certain things that you say gives me a clue as to what your state of mind is. I ain't trying to read your mind. Well, I am trying to read your mind. I ain't trying to get into your thoughts. That's your business. That ain't none of my business. And I ain't worried. I ain't trying to be into your business. But I am looking at your thought patterns, because what that does to me as someone that's trying to teach, I can see, the positive and the progressive trends that are developing and manifesting themselves that I know will be useful to my Lord, to my Savior. And of course, mine is yours, and we are all one. So, oh man, that is just a beautiful thing. And Sister just put this thing up here in the chat. You can look at it if you have the ability to. I just want to look. I want to look at that. It says that. You want to read it, Belinda?
Okay. In Closing the Gap, page 257 and 258. Brother Jabril speaking. He said to me one day that Master Farad Muhammad told him the number of dialects that both Clarence Darrow and President Woodrow knew of English. The number was around 23 and 22 respectively, or close to that. I just don't remember the exact number right now. Did he ever mention to you anything like that? Minister Farrakhan? No. He mentioned to me the degrees of understanding of the language that they both had mastered, which set them apart from their contemporaries in their ability to master language. Sometimes, Brother Jabril, I didn't use the dictionary. I would just use what I understood of the prefix, the suffix, and the main word. If it had a Latin root, then I would compare what I saw in the definition, even to what Webster said. And sometimes my definitions were deeper and more profound than what was in the dictionary.
So that is a clue right there to how, and that's what we do. That's how we do it here. We call that the Minister Farrakhan clearing method, where we use prefixes and suffixes. And it made me think, Sister Tina, earlier you were talking about suppressor. So when you look at suppressor, you can look at suppress, compress, depress, repress, all of these different prefixes that you can use, that the different prefixes give you a picture of how many, these are like different angles, or these are like different snapshots of the picture, you see, and allow us to develop deeper, a deeper picture of the fundamental word press. We talked about, Sister Carol, we talked about the tractor beam the other day. But you know, the opposite of a tractor beam, if you looked at Star Wars, but not just Star Wars, it's actually in this science too. You know, if you look at the tractor beam pulls you in, but then the opposite of the tractor beam is what you call a pressor beam, which pushes out, you see. So when you are depressed and oppressed, suppressed, repressed, you know, it talks about, it's talking about something pushing against you. And see, this is the big picture here. So when we are able to look and get a concept of the big picture in general, then we are able to use these concepts to aid us in our understanding and in our depth perception of words. So when you think about a word, then your mind just envelops, you know, it envelops the concept, and I mean, it's almost like you've got a new level of sight here. Okay, so that's kind of what we did. So in the being interested, you know, being interested, that is the key. Being interested. Not see, when we want to just show somebody what we know, then now we're regressing, really. If you're just trying to show somebody what you know. But if you with interest, that's why a lot of what I'm saying, how Allah blesses me, because I'm interested. I ain't just really trying to show nobody what I know. I'm interested. I have a genuine interest, you know, in this knowledge that we're talking about. You know, it's not about what I know, you know, it's about the subject. And I know we talked about the interesting and the interested the other day, and we need to just put that up on a plaque somewhere, you know, and because what that does, it just kind of helps to keep you humble. See, when you become interested, when you become interesting yourself, then your own progress is being stunted, is being stifled. We believe that in which has been revealed to us and revealed to you, and our God and your God is one, and to him we submit. And thus have we revealed the book to thee. So those whom we have given the book believe in it. And see, it's something about these books. It's something about this book, Holy Quran. It's something about the revealed books of Allah, the Torah, the Gospel, the Injil, the book. But then when you start talking about the book and the wisdom, and then when you think about a book contains what? It contains words. Words actually are pictures. The words contain pictures. The word contains pictures and concepts that when you use words to present a picture so you can know what's in my mind, If I can use a word to present a certain picture that you can relate to, then and only then shall communication take place. So if you got in the beginning, if in the beginning was the word was with God, and the word was God, then every word that proceeded from the mouth of the Lord has a connection with every other word, which is God. And ultimately, every word is connected to every other word. Now, you may not be able to see directly the connection. It may take you a while to sift through the various words and the definitions and the different prefixes, suffixes, or what have you that's connecting the roots of the word. But ultimately, every word relates to every other word. It's the big family. So when we begin to see these words, and we are able to identify the words that are in the family of another word, then we are well on our way to be able to connect every word to everything else. Now that might be that's just something to kind of stretch your mind on there a little bit. So we'll reveal the book. So this book contains words that connect us, that give us the big picture, the book that contains the words that contains the big picture. So that when we read these words, then the reach of our perception is greatly enhanced and enabling to us as believers, because now through these words and through these pictures, we are able to see beyond that which may be physically present. That's what I'm talking about right now when I say, and I listen to people talk, and now I can see, because I have some words of wisdom. I can see, I'm able to be aware of the unseen now, because the words give you access to the unseen. Is that not what it said in Surah 2? This book, there is no doubt in it. It is a guide to those who keep their duty and believe in what? The unseen. This is a guide to the unseen. Lord have mercy. So we're talking about, and of these, they are those who believe in it, and none deny our messages except the disbelievers. They're cut off. They can't see beyond the words, and they don't, and even the words that they see, they have limited perception, limited intelligence. And thou didst not recite before it any book, nor didst thou transcribe one with thy right hand, for then could the liars have doubted. Nay, it is, check this out now, it is clear messages in the hearts of those who are granted knowledge. And none deny our messages except the iniquitous. Okay, clear messages in the hearts. So where are we talking about now? See, your heart, the heart is the seat of your emotions, and depending on the emotion, the higher emotions give you more perception. Depth perception. That's what we were just talking about with Sister Tina. She talked about when the necessity factor comes in, the necessity level, when it comes into play. Now you can see a whole hell of a lot more, excuse my friend. You can see a whole lot more on 3.0 than you can say negative 1.5. Negative 1.5, that's anger. You can't see nothing. You are almost blind. You sure enough deaf, dumb, and blind when you below 2.0. But as you rise up on the tone scale, 3.0 is conservatism. And then you go to 3.3. 3.3 is it's strong interest. When you get strong interest, doesn't that, if you really strong interest, you know that necessity level is sure enough there. Now you are sure enough in present time because you're trying to get everything that you can. This is what is happening to you and me. I got interest. You know, that's and so the level of my interest in this stuff, Allah has opened me up because that's in my heart. That's something that's in my heart. You know, I'm interested. I'm interested in learning, you know, how to be like my God, how to be like my minister, how to be like my messenger, Elijah Muhammad. I'm interested in that because they brought me some juice, you know, that's very, very potent, you know, and very, very useful. I want as much of that as possible. So I become awake. See, my strong interest, it awakens me even more. Interest is, you know, they call it, there's this white boy in Detroit I met and talked to him. We was at Savior's Day one year. And he said that's like, he called it a tone jack, you know, where your tone, it jacks up your tone level, you know, as in raises your tone level. When you hear the knowledge, the clear knowledge, see, the more interested you are, the clearer the knowledge. Think about that. And then you go up from 3.3 to when you get cheerful. You ever notice how sharp you are mentally when you are cheerful? You wake up, you walking around the house, you humming a tune and whistling or all this kind of stuff like that. You get sharper. And then you get up to 4.0 and to where you get downright enthusiastic. And that's when that stuff starts getting contagious. You get enthusiastic, you know, whoever get around you, they better watch out, you know. And I remember as a young student minister, I was so enthusiastic, you know, that people that came around me, like I said, they had the musicians that was around me. They had a word out about me. They said, man, don't mess with my team. Well, you'll be smoking, you not smoking, but you'll be, at one time you would have been smoking. He said, but you'll be selling fish and bean pies. And because the enthusiasm is contagious. But guess what? Enthusiasm it's only 1/5 of taking action. See, when you take action, now that's when you are moving stuff. And then action is work. Work is force times distance. So anyway, I hope everybody's tracking with me. We're getting right here at this hour, and I didn't want to I don't want to go too far over an hour today, but we're going to keep on going here. Everybody, y'all tracking with me?
Yes, sir.
Tracking with Allah is what it is.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's why, man, scholars, that's what I'm looking for. That's who I really want to hook up. I want to hook up with all. Yes, sir. Don't get me wrong. That's what we want, scholars, man. You want somebody to let's bust some books open. You know what I mean? And pull something out, pull some fertilizer out that we can spread on our people. Because Lord knows we need it. We need it so bad. I mean, we need it. We need it and we feeding on it. So you can just imagine somebody that ain't feeding on it. Hell, they need it worse than we do. All right. Sister Haviva, ayat 58 and 59.
Yes, sir. Ayat 58. And those who believe and do good, we shall certainly give them an abode in high places in the garden, wherein flow rivers, abiding therein. Excellent the reward of the workers, who are patient, and on their Lord they rely. Allah Akbar.
Right. I like to flag these whenever I see it. I flag these verses that talk about believing and doing good, because this is just a recurring thing. This is like a drill. And it's so important that we understand these concepts when he's, that he's really drilling. Let me see if this, I don't think he's got a definition for drill on here. In here, let me try. Give me a minute here. Yeah, he just says drills are exercise. Well, yeah, exercises. Drills are exercise. Exercise. If you exercise a muscle, what happens when you exercise a muscle? The muscle becomes beautiful. You know what I mean? Fat is undeveloped muscle. But when you start exercising that muscle, then the fat disintegrates and then the muscle gets some definition and starts, the fat. Nobody likes fat, but everybody loves, beautiful, lean muscle. Am I right? It's more desirable, to look at, much less to have, you see. And so to those who believe and do good, see, this is like I say, this is like it's a drill. Allah is drill. He's exercising your mind by constantly bringing you back to this picture of believing. Look, man, believe and do good. He say, and those that do so, we shall certainly give them an abode. That means abode, that's where you stay. That ain't no vacation. That's where you stay. See, he give you a place where you can stay. Not visit, not just visit. In high places in the garden, wherein flow rivers abiding therein. Excellent the reward of the workers. Brother Wadu, go ahead, brother.
Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Mubarak.
Alaykum salam, Ramadan Kareem, sir.
Wanted to offer that from a physical standpoint, knowing that mind, body, and soul or spirit are interconnected, that muscle is a healthier cell type as well. And I actually did my thesis on the effects of losing muscle and the health ramifications, because as you just noted, the fat cells take over and there's a decline in health. So having leaner muscle is a better physically, is physically better to have more muscle than to have fat as well.
Man, I don't know what I'm gonna do with you. Beautiful. Oh, I know what I'm gonna do. We got to keep it. We got to keep it. Don't y'all think we need to keep this, brother? See, and see, that's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that those who that make good ministers that are versed in medical science. And so so what he did, I gave you one perspective. So now he gives you a whole nother level that really, that just widens the whole incision to where we can be operated on. So you healthier. So as we repeat, believe, and do good, you are developing by Allah, inshallah, mashallah, you are developing the muscle of belief and doingness and goodness. Because as we were saying, the doing of good is that which fuses us to Allah, that which binds us to Allah, that which seals us to Allah. Don't that sound good? Seal. I want to be sealed with Allah. I want him to seal me up where I can never escape. I don't never want to escape the influence of my God, Allah, Master Farad Muhammad. And we look at the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we look at the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and we know we're a long ways. Maybe not as long as we think, but we know that we have to close the gap. That is our goal, to close the gap. So we are doing these things. I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg, but I think what happened was that I was saying something years ago in STW when we first started, and Belinda found that in closing the gap. But nevertheless, the truth is the light, and Allah is the truth. When you see the truth, you're really looking at a different manifestation of Allah. All right. So let us go to ayat 64. Sister Haviv.
64. And the life of this world is but sport and play, and the home of the hereafter, that surely is the life. Did they but know?
Praises be to Allah. Thank you. Allahu Akbar. And really what we got out of this, or what I got out of this right here, is that the life of this world is but a sport and a play. So you're not, it's not really taken serious, because you play anything that you play with, that means that you ain't taking it serious. You're sporting it. Well, then people might do sport for certain reasons, but sport and play generally means to me there is that people do not take their life seriously. And this is one reason why the tone level of strong interest is such a valuable asset, and is such a blessing in your heart. If you experience that emotion, I mean, that's almost like having somebody that loves you, I mean, that you love, and that person love you back. You know, when that happens, what do you have? If you got somebody you love and they love you back, you got a strong interest somewhere. Then, matter of fact, and it don't take long for that strong interest to become cheerfulness. You know how it is. You meet that person for the first time or whatever, and cheerful, you get enthusiastic. And then after you get enthusiastic, oh man, then that's when you start writing poetry and stuff. And, you know what I mean? Start getting creative and everything. And then you get exhilarated. You just, like they say, I met this brother, this sister, whatever, and then man, I'm on cloud 9. That's how it is. That's the emotional chain that you have. Then the next thing you know, you're ready to take action. I'm ready. I got to take the next step. Is this the one for me? And if it is, let's do it. And then and on up in the tone scale. So understand that this is the tone level that people have in this world, is that they do not take life seriously. And if you knew the consequences of taking it serious, where you may end up with an abode in the garden as opposed as an abode in the fire of hell, you might take it a little bit more serious. Ayat 69. Go ahead. Go ahead, brother.
Something went off inside of me as you were saying about the sport and play and people not taking this life seriously. It connected with how you opened with civilization, that sporting and playing and not taking things seriously, as the most honorable Elijah Muhammad told us, are not civilization building demeanors. You can't build a civilization if you're not taking what you're doing seriously. And that's just something that occurred to me as we are in the process of trying to civilize ourselves and our people so that we can build a nation, build a civilization.
Yes, sir. Excellent. Thank you. All right. Ayat 69, Sister Habiba. You're still on mute, dear.
I apologize. I'm just running. Ayah 69. And those who strive hard for us, we shall certainly guide them in our ways. And Allah is surely with the doers of good. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. Strive when you put in effort. When you strive, when you like I said, when you make a move toward Allah, then Allah makes a move toward you, and certainly Allah is much more able to make an effective move toward you, since He is all powerful. Then it says we should certainly guide them in our way. So when you strive hard for Allah, see now there's an operative word that starts for, strive hard for us, which the us is Allah. When you strive hard, when you make the effort, you make a distinctive, aggressive, if you will, effort for Allah, then he says we shall certainly guide them in our way. So your effort, you aim yourself toward Allah, and then Allah will guide you. Striving hard for Allah. See, when you strive hard, you know how it is when you striving hard on something. It's almost like where you set yourself just like somebody that plays football, the running back. When the running back that gets the handoff and goes through the line in football, he's striving hard. He puts his head down. He ain't even looking a lot of time. He know he pointed his head into that direction. And so that's how we are. We point our head in the direction of Allah. We put our head down, and then Allah will guide us. You know, you make that effort to help Allah. He will guide you. And it says, and Allah is surely with the doers of good. How is he with you? Well, when you doing good, you made yourself one with him. You know, when you do good with Allah, it's just like Allah is in the car, you know, and then you just open the car door by doing good. You open the car door and have a seat right next to Allah. So wherever Allah is going, you going with him. I like that analogy. By Allah. Y'all with me, I hope. I ain't hoping. I know you with me. With Allah. With my voice, that is. It's Allah. All right. Go to the next surah, the Romans, ayat 8.
Ayat 8. Do they not reflect within themselves? Allah did not create the heavens and the earth and what is between them, but with truth and for an appointed term. And surely most of the people are deniers of a meeting with their Lord. Allahu Akbar.
All right, so here we go right here, that Allah created the heavens and the earth and what is between them with truth. All right, so Allah was serious. We just talked about sport and play is not taking stuff serious. Well, then he's really serious here when he says he created the heavens and earth with truth. That means that he created all of this that we see with precision. And that's why you have certain herbs and vegetables and things that you eat, that these things, some of them go together, you see. And there's certain things that when they are combined with other things, say in terms of eating and food, that there's an explosion of taste. I noticed this particularly with me. Now, I like fresh tomato soup. You get that tomatoes, if you get them tomatoes and you kind of stew them a little bit, you know, you boil them down, stew them a little bit, and then you put them onions in there, put a little garlic in there with your olive oil or whatever oil you like, and then get you some fresh basil. It ain't nothing like it. And then top it off with a little bit of that heavy cream, a little butter, real butter. Allah he has created the heavens and the earth with precision. You're like, if you like potatoes, you can saute them potatoes a little bit, and then you can Then you can season them potatoes with, it go perfect with like rosemary, something like rosemary. You know, I like fish. You get fish, red snapper, and then you get some fresh sage or some dill. See, he created this thing with precision so that there are certain things, certain combination of things. I'm just from a culinary standpoint, there's certain things that you can mix up together. And it's so great that it causes, like I say, especially with that tomato soup, it causes an explosion in your mouth almost. Yeah, put a little honey in that bad boy.
I'm tracking.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Sister Carol? I said, hey, we on the same page on that.
Yeah, what time is iftar today, sir?
That's right. Matter of fact, man, look like I took the wrong. I picked the wrong subject, the wrong example. But maybe since we're looking forward to iftar, that makes the example all the more real to us. You see, and especially during Ramadan. All right. All right. Okay. And it just like us, Brother Wadud and I were talking a little bit early. We were talking about, Brother Wadu helping me with my little prep for my operation, and he was saying that certain kind of foods that may be favorable for me. And then when he got to talking about the kind of foods, and then he said like eggs is good, and I got to thinking, man, I love them eggs. Ain't nothing like egg with some cheese in it, boy. Saute a little onions in there with him. Put a little cream. Let me stop. Let me stop. I might be making some people mad. I don't want to make you mad.
No, sir, Brother Butter. You done make just a little trial for us. We're gonna be okay. You keep on going. We're gonna be all right, sir.
Praise be to Allah. All right, Sister Haviva, let's go with ayat number 15.
Yes, sir. My mouth was watering. Ayat 15. Then as to those who believe and did good, they will be made happy in our garden.
Okay. So there we go. There's that reoccurring theme again. There's that exercise. There's that drill again. Those who believe and did good, they will be made happy in a garden. Now, the technical dictionary says happiness is not itself an emotion. It is a word which states a condition. See, and the anatomy of that condition is interest. Happiness, you could say, is the overcoming of not knowable obstacles toward a known goal. So when you believe and you do good, Allah is going to give you a condition, a state. He's going to rise you to a certain state. And the interest, and so interest is going to be there, because interest is that, it's really that part of yourself that makes you alive and keeps you alive. All right, let's move on before I start talking about some more food. All right, number 19, Sister Haviv.
Yes, sir. Ayat 19. He brings forth the living from the dead, and brings forth the dead from the living, and gives life to the earth after its death. And thus will you be brought forth.
Allahu Akbar.
All right. He brings forth the living from the dead and bring forth the dead from the living. Ain't that something? He don't, Allah don't waste nothing. Gives life to the earth after its death, and thus will you be brought forth. So he just really is really talking about, the cycle of life, cycle of action, start, change, stop, birth, life, death. You see. All right. Sister Haviva,
Yes, sir.
ayat 21.
Ayat 21. And of his signs is this, that he creates mates for you from yourselves, that you might find quiet of mind in them. And he puts between you love and compassion. Surely there are signs in this for people who reflect. Allah.
Praise be to Allah. So this is how he built things, and this is how he built the universe. And Mr. Hubbard says somewhere he talks about how the number 2 was the basis of the universe. And he was really referring to the opposites, the polar opposites, the positive and the negative, the good and the bad, good and the evil, the right and the wrong, the fear and the faith. Everything that's why you have, even in your word families, you have what they call antonyms. Antonyms is anti, A-N-T. See, there we go with that word clear. And so I think this is what we are going to really concentrate on when we start doing the STW word clearing. Is really point out how this use of language that we have been this very unique nomenclature of the Nation of Islam, how it has been effective in the transforming of the lives of formerly mentally and spiritually dead inmates. Yeah, I said inmates. Because I've long said that the Nation of Islam is really a mental institution run by the inmates. And somebody proved me that I'm wrong. And see, right now, you notice the minister, he stepped back to see how the inmates are doing, see how the inmates gonna do. Because he know that he got to go. And he's looking at each and every one of them. He's looking at all of us. And so he said that he created mates for you from yourselves, that you might find quiet of mind in them. Well, how you going to do that? You're going to find that in finding reality, finding agreement, finding affinity. Well, if you're a mate, then you got close proximity just because you're a mate. You made it together, and then the reality is the agreement. Once this person is agreeable to you, that person, and you're agreeable to that person. Therefore, your reality is increased. Therefore, your affinity is created. It's created in some cases, but increased. The affinity being tolerance of proximity. So the more we are on the same page, the more I can tolerate your proximity. tolerate hanging around with you. So if we can tolerate hanging around each other and we on the same page, then what does that do to the communication? And when you got affinity, reality, and communication, you got quiet of mind. You ain't arguing. Whatever you do, that like they say, with your mate, when you sometimes you can finish the sentence. You know what the person gonna say. You just know the person. Not that you in their thoughts. Where some of us try to get into each other's thoughts sometimes, and make a lot of mistakes when we do that. And I imagine there's some people that getting divorced today because they think they in somebody's thoughts and start taking liberties with their speculation. So it ain't about that. He put between you love and compassion. Surely there are signs in this for people who reflect. Go ahead, Brother Wadud.
Yes, sir. Just as a study aid for my fellow students in the class, something that I was taught and trained in is that when we are in class, if we are thinking along the same lines with the professor, if we've gotten the study assignment the day before, if he said go home and read X, Y, and Z, and then when we come back the next day after reading those pages, we can almost think what as he's going over the lesson, we can kind of complete what we think the answer will be as he's speaking at the board or from the projector or whatever have you. So that's just a study aid, as I heard some of my other classmates ask about how to study. And that's one thing that I found to be effective.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Well, this is definitely going to be, and I'm just, like I say, I'm still trying to figure out exactly how we're going to do it. But we definitely going to, we're gonna break down this whole thing of study, how to study. So if Scientology is knowing how to know, then it certainly has to have a component in it that that would address how to study. And so that's why we have to be humble. Some people may say, well, no, I don't know, nobody need to tell me how to study. I know how to study. Yeah, and you do. But then maybe there's something beyond, what you know. And that's where we have to come to grips with the fact that there's always something beyond. There's always something beyond. Like I think yesterday we were talking about there's always going to be somebody better at something than you are. There's always going to be somebody prettier and more handsome or more appealing or somebody more intelligent. So we have to come to grips with these things, and because in your nature, and in my nature, we have one, and some of it is natural, and then it got really distorted when Yaqub came on the scene. See, Allah already had a little, he had a little jealousy in it, which should make us look a little bit more at that concept of exactly what jealousy is, because jealousy is not necessarily bad. It can be bad if we do not put it in check, if we do not handle it correctly. And unfortunately for Black people, we don't know how to do anything, and we certainly don't know how to handle jealousy. There's a lot of people are in jail and in the grave today because of jealousy. A lot of relationships break up because of the jealous husband, the jealous wife, sometimes even jealous children can break up a relationship. So these are definitely things that we are going to deal with. You know, you have the jealousy, the natural jealousy that we inherited from our Father God. And then you have another kind of jealousy that comes from the implant of Yaqub, which is, I am better. See, Yaqub just straight out taught a whole people. He built a whole people on the idea that they was better. So when the cracker came out of the cave in Europe and went down into Egypt and saw the high civilization of Black folks, Napoleon got jealous. He got so jealous, he got resentful of the Black man, the people that had Black features, and he shot the nose off of the Sphinx. That's jealousy. See? But see, Master Fard Muhammad, he brought us the solution. He gave us the solution now, or he delivered the message. So now it's up to us now, students, scholars, pilgrims, believers, family. We have to take this remedy that he gave us, and the remedy, you know what they said? What it said? It said that the 6 greatest words that we were given by the Savior was what? Anybody know what that is?
Accept your own.
Accept your own and be yourself. That's right. So that is an antidote to thinking that I am better. See, Yaqub, so don't just relate that as something that Yaqub came up with. Yaqub made you and I into himself. He made us he gave us that same mentality that we want to think that we are better. I am better. And every time that we call it a virus, every time that virus gets an opening to manifest itself, it does. Every time we get the chance to look at ourselves as better, it make you feel kind of good to know that you are better, make you feel a little bit more secure that you are a little ahead of the next person. But you may be ahead of the next person because the Quran says, I have made some of you to excel others, but it didn't say that I made any of you better. And so he said that he who is most mindful of his duty is better. That don't mean there's nothing innate in you that makes you better, except that you do. And because by doing your duty, then, well, you in the same, you sitting on the same seat with Allah now. Once you start believing in Allah and then doing good, but Master Fard Muhammad, he gave us the antidote by saying, accept your own and be yourself. So realize, accept who you are. Accept the fact that Allah has made some people that gonna excel you. It's gonna be somebody a little bit better than you in whatever it is you do. accept that. Or as L. Ron Hubbard would say, as is that. Look at that for what it is. And then when you can accept that, because see, when you accept that, then your focus is not on the person who you are trying to contend with being the best in the world or whatever it is. You put the focus where it should be, on yourself. And you can develop and manifest the best of yourself. Because if somebody can play basketball better than me, then well, maybe it ain't for, it ain't for me to be the best basketball player. So accept that. And so be whatever it is that Allah has given me the ability to be. All right. We're circling Hartsfield Jackson Airport now, looking at the runway to bring this ship on in. I see your hand is up. I don't think it went down, Brother Wadu, but did you put your hand back up? You got something else you want to say?
No, sir. I put it down now.
Okay. Praise be to Allah. All right. Everybody, we all tracking together, family?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. Well, we're certainly thankful, happy. We're happy. How about that? Whoever heard that definition of happy before? We are happy that Allah came to us to redeem us. And I am happy to share this time with you, going over, parsing the holy word of Allah. And we got a whole bunch more of this. And I know that's part, I think, of what I want to do is dedicate at least part of the rest of my life is to going through this Quran and bringing out these tech gems, the tech gems of the Quran, the technology of the Quran. So we will bring this session to a close. I want to thank each and every one of you for participating. Inshallah, we'll be back tomorrow, same time. And of course, we will end a little early tomorrow for Brother Luqman's class. Because I am all for him. I support him. I support him anyway. And as we support each other, and we ain't trying to compete, like Negroes do. But I support what brother's doing, and especially with this this book one, the study of this book one, because that's the basis, man. That's like the arithmetic. That's the arithmetic of this technology. And you don't learn about the analytical mind, the reactive mind, the locks, secondaries, or painful emotion engrams and engrams. You don't know what's going on in your head. You just don't. And you look around and you see people, you can see that they don't know what's going on. And what we do know a lot in the nation is just real fuzzy. And that's why we need knowledge. That's why we need training. So may Allah bless you in your studies. And inshallah, we'll see you tomorrow at 5 as we close out now in prayer. Attention, prayer. Thank you, Sister Haviva, again. Attention, prayer. And we pray. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praises are due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of this day of judgment in which we now live. To thee alone do we serve, and to thee alone do we beseech for help. O Allah, guide us on the right path, the path of those you have bestowed favors, and not of those whom your wrath has been brought down, nor those who go astray after hearing thy teachings. O Allah, we thank you for this gathering, and we ask for your continued aid, guidance, and protection as we continue our journey toward thee. In the name of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we pray. Ameen.
Ameen.
Okay. All right, family, go in peace. And inshallah, we shall see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak.
Wa alaikum salam. Ramadan Kareem.
Ramadan Kareem.